What's going on, everybody? It's P-Toll, a.k.a. PT Sports 84, back with another NBA 2K26 custom roster video. In this one, I dove into the Kobe era roster, which is the 2002-2003 NBA season. This is a version 1, so I haven't made any tendency changes or attribute changes or anything like that. I wanted to keep it a clean file as a baseline for others to use if they want to edit how they want to, because everybody's different with how they like the tendencies, how they like the ratings and things like that. So generally what I wanted to do in this one was clean up the rosters to make sure all of the opening night rosters were as accurate as they could be. I did a couple changes, if you will, to the opening night rosters to make sure a couple guys that got brought on early in the season, like a game or two in, were added essentially because the roster limit on those particular rosters was not reaching the limit. So I wanted to make sure those were taken care of. But just to be transparent for this one, most of the caps are not mine. I did make some and tweaked others. XvClutch last year did a great job. BlueSteelMagic, I believe that's the username, did a great initial roster update. So make sure you're checking him out. Make sure you go check out XvClutch. He's got a LeBron roster right now that he's working on. So make sure you go check that one out as you go through. Unfortunately for this year, the ability to crossplay with PC and consoles is not available. I don't know if that's going to change, but due to a lot of licensing issues, my guess is that's why it was taken away, which makes sense because if you look at it from the roster editor side, you're frustrated because you're like, man, these rosters will be so much better if we could do this, 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 and this. Well, if you're looking at it from the gaming side and the developer side, you could get sued for having a player's likeness in the game that is not officially in there because that player is going to want compensation for being in the game, and essentially 2K did not go get them, but users such as myself and others found a way to get those hidden faces in the game. That was causing all kinds of licensing issues across the board. So let's say you get Andrew Bynum in the game. Well, he's not officially in there. So if he gets wind of that, he's going to want to be paid for being in the game. Now, you could say 2K could lock down the ability to get the hidden faces and things like that. Well, then what's really the point of the crossplay for a lot of roster editors outside of, a few, such as myself, that would want to just open up the coaching staffs and do simple things like that. But overall, that's the reason why there's no cross share with PC and console. So with that in mind, to get any of the missing players, you either have to wait on 2K to update the art themselves through a roster patch. It's the only way they can get new faces in, which essentially, as we know with the rosters on the retro side, it's not very often. So we're at their mercy of waiting on them to update all the faces in the first likeness patch, which is likely beginning of October, I'd assume. But for now, it's cap creations, and so that's the route I went with this one. So let's jump in really quick. I'm going to start with the free agent pool. There's quite a few free agents added in, like Mikey Moore is added there, AJ Guyton. Tried to keep in mind Donnie Marshall, Paul Shirley, Paul Grant. So trying to keep in mind that there are a lot more free agents that can go in here, so they'll get added in version 2 once I can clean it up a little more. I just wanted to get a baseline out so far for you guys, so that way the roster community has a roster that they can go off of and use as a baseline, essentially, on their own. So obviously coaches can't be updated, so I'm not even going to go through the coaches. Unfortunately, there's ones that got missed that could be in there, like John Lucas could be added as the Cavaliers coach because his face is in the game and he's a character in my team. So you essentially could have him at some point once 2K updates it. But These are based off the opening night rosters. If you want the end of the season rosters, you'll have to look up the transactions yourself and make it. But without further ado, let's jump into the newly added players. We've got John Salmons. I went with the Salmons look as a rookie because he didn't have as much of the facial hair as he did later in his career and things like that. So we've got Sam Dallenberg right there. Brian Skinner. For those that aren't aware, this version of Brian Skinner was not bald. He actually had a fro and cornrows, so you guys can change the hair if you want to. On that one, Art Long got added there. Sam Clancy. Those that don't know, Sam Clancy was injured for this season, but he was technically on the roster the entire season. So that's why he is added here. Of course. So going over to the Milwaukee Bucks, we've got Anthony Mason. And you got to go into the caps and look at them. You know, there's other cap creators that could make these a lot better, I'm sure. I tried to do the best I could within reason. Dan Gazarich, Joel Prisbilla. If you look at the photos for Prisbilla, he actually had the hair starting out, and then his hair, he shaved his head and stuff later on. So right now, that's the version I went with. Go over to the Chicago Bulls. Updated Lonnie Baxter there, so you can see him. Dalibor Bogaric, got him updated as well. Pretty much try to leave everything else alone for caps that you can't really edit. For the most part, there's Chris Mim. Like Dwan Wagner, you can edit. I did edit him a little bit there. You can see it doesn't always translate as well over to the picture there, so just wanted to go in and show that. Michael Stewart I updated as well there. And then I added Tierra Brown to the team to make a roster minimum because otherwise it was kicking it back saying there wasn't enough players. Tierra didn't sign till later in the season, but I just try to add him in there because essentially that's the team that he would go on. Going over to the Boston Celtics, like I said, XvClutch does a great job on his caps. That is his Tony Battie. I did Eric Williams there. Tried to touch up Wolkowicki as well. Kedrick Brown there. He's one that I definitely want to get into the game at some point officially, so we'll see how that goes. Eric Podkowski, I touched him up as well. You can see there, Marko Jaric fixed his face as well. And like I said, a lot of these are based off of last year and caps, you know, because they're pretty similar. So Sean Rooks, of course, as I just highlighted there, got an update. Going over to the Grizzlies, they were missing a lot of guys. There was Michael Dickerson, Mike Batiste. Great guy, by the way. Mike is awesome. For those that don't know, he's an assistant coach now for the Toronto Raptors. So there's Shajari Trubansky, Robert Archibald as well. Going over the Atlanta Hawks, I had to do a little bit of work on them. We've got Ira Newble, updated cap, added Emmanuel Davis. DeMar Johnson, if you remember, was out that year. There's Chris Crawford. Amal McCaskill actually signed, I think, like a day into the season. So I went ahead and put him on the roster so that way it reaches a full roster. Going over to the Miami Heat, got Rasul Butler there, Anthony Carter with an updated render, Sean Marks, Malik Allen, a great guy as well, Sean Lampley, and then Ken Johnson added in there. Oops. Going over to the New Orleans Hornets, there's just two additions. You got Robert Traylor there, and then Kirk Haston. I tried with Kirk Haston. It's not the greatest cap in the world, but, you know, at least he's in there. You guys can fix him how you want to. Utah Jazz, I added Raul Lopez, who was out for the year at this point, but there's his cap. Curtis Borchert, got him as well. in there. Sacramento Kings. Technically, Brent Price wasn't on, didn't play this year because he was under contract, though. So I left him there. There's Mateen Cleaves, Keon Clark. And some of these are Blue Steel Magic's caps. He did a good job with some of them. So I just left them as is. So, like I said, make sure you're going to get his roster as well and look it over, because I think he did the end of the season rosters, if I'm not mistaken. There's Othello Harrington. We've got Frankie Williams, Lavore Procell, and then Mark Pope added there. Mark Pope is now the Kentucky men's basketball coach. The Lakers, we've got Samala Samaki going over to the Magic. The only one missing was Gerald Sasser. So there's Sasser. The Mavericks, everybody is the same because the rosters were completed. Going over to the Nets, we've got Anthony Johnson's render updated. We've got Lucius Harris added in. We've got Jamie Fike added in as well. Now, he was out for this season. Technically, he didn't play, but he was under contract. And so I tried to keep it going with a full roster. That's why he's added there. Chris Whitney, I added his official face. It's in the draft class for those that don't know. Why they didn't add it into the roster, who knows? Junior Harrington, there's Rodney White with an updated cap. Donnell Harvey with an updated one. There. So let's see if we can. Nicholas Skidishvili. Also, so there's him. Vincent Yarborough with an updated cap. Predrag Savovic, updated cap as well. So, and I updated Juwan Howard to a more recent look there rather than the younger Juwan Howard. Going over to the Pacers, we've got Reggie Miller there, so you can see the cap there for Reggie. Jamal Tinsley, you can't change. This is a terrible Jamal Tinsley. So anybody that's locked, it seems like they're probably going to add their old scans in and go get them. That's what it seems like. Primoz Brezic, got Ron Mercer in the game as well. Ron Mercer is such a nice guy as well. I was able to talk to him. Jamison Brewer, very nice guy also. So pretty much every NBA player has been very nice when talking to them. So, we'll see what happens with everything. There's Tayshaun Prince, new render, Mehmet Okur. Try to go the best I could with him. Zelshko Rabratza as well. Don Reed here down below. Going over to the Raptors, Vashawn Leonard. Got him. You can see a cap there for him. We've got Chris Jeffries as well. And then last but not least, Nate Huffman added in. Going over to the Rockets, got Kelvin Cato there. Eddie Griffin also. Got an updated cap for Terrence Morris. Last but not least, Tito Maddox down below. Oh, I forgot about Jason Collier as well. Jason Collier is in there. Going over to the Spurs. So I added Devin Brown to reach the roster limit of 14. Added Mink Batir as well. Good cap on that one. Going over to the Phoenix Suns, Jake Sakalidis in there. Dan Lange also. So you can see him. Alton Ford. Next up is the Sonics with Jerome James added in. And that was the only one that was needed for that team. Going over to the Minnesota Timberwolves. We've got an updated cap for Lauren Woods. And then that's it for them because I can't edit Troy Hudson. So it looks like they'll probably go get his old scan and get them added in. So there's Rasheed Wallace added in, Jeff McInnes with an updated cap as well. Let's see, going over to Dale Davis, got him added in. Charles C. Smith. There's a lot of Charles Smiths that played in the NBA. I think there's 3 total. And so it's easily confusing on which is which. This Charles played for the Spurs, Portland, versus the one that played for the Knicks and the Clippers. And then there's another one that played for Boston, I think Minnesota too, if I'm not mistaken. So easily confusing. Let's see. We've got Chris Mills added in. We've got, I left this Yuri Welsh alone for now. And then we've got Oscar Torres, and we've also got Guy Rucker as guys to add to this team. Last but not least, the Wizards. I dropped Bobby Simmons because he didn't sign until I think a week or 2 into the season. And I added Ratko Varda because he was technically on the roster until he was waived for Bobby Simmons. So if we ever get an ability to edit again, I'll fix all the coaches. Essentially, really the only one that would fit in would be John Lucas Sr. And then, of course, have to fix the Doug Collins render to the other one with the shorter hair. So that'll be some things to maybe be on the lookout for if those things come out. But if you like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the thumbs up button. I'm going to go ahead and update this now. So save and share. Let's see. I'm going to put 0203 Kobe era by PT Sports. I'm going to put version 1. So perfect. You can see it there. 0203 Kobe era by PT Sports 84 version 1. And that will be available. It says two teams don't have enough active players. That's okay. I'd rather have that than, I think it was like 7 or 8 that were there. So I'm uploading it now. So you'll find it under PT Sports 84, the gamer tag. You can find that file name 0203 Kobe era by PT Sports version 1. That way it gives you a baseline to go off of. I'm going to go back through for version 2, add a bunch more free agents, try to tidy up some of the roster, whether it's shoes or accessories, things like that, ages and stuff as well. All that stuff's got to be run through and fixed accordingly. So make sure you're on the lookout for version 2 coming shortly. So thanks everybody for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your week. I'll have some more videos out, sporadically this week. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're finding me, on social media, and make sure you're liking all the content and stuff there as well. So hope everybody has a great rest of your week, and take care.